So there have obviously been other structures, other major structures on the site of the Parthenon. I also want to get into a little bit of the history of the Parthenon here while we're at it. So, in about 560, we see the construction of something called the Hecatompadon. Those of you who have studied Greek, which probably there aren't too many, will recognize that as a Greek term meaning 100-footer. Unfortunately, we have no idea what was 100 feet. It could have been a temple, a treasury, a line of treasuries. It could have been an early Greek runway. We don't know. But we know that there is discussion of the Hecatompadon. And these figures seem to be from what we think was the Hecatompadon, either a temple or a treasury. And these are archaic sculptures. It's obviously an archaic temple. You can see that deadpan, odd smile looking at the viewer. And those odd proportions where instead of a reclining pose getting into the corner of that pediment, they're just cut off at the waist. Now, following the Hecatompadon, we have the Parthenon, which is at the top here. And if you look at the cella, the Parthenon was started in 490 following the Battle of Marathon, this embarrassing situation where people were attacked with Gatorade and goo packets and then told to run 26 miles. Actually, it was a battle in 490 between the Greeks and the Persians. The Persians tried to invade, the Greeks ran them off. So, because of this great victory, they tear down the Hecatompadon, they start building the Parthenon, which you see at the top. And if you look at that cella, you'll notice it's a 3-to-1 ratio. It's very long and narrow. It's something we would expect from an earlier Greek temple. And the rest of it's more or less the same. I mean, we have the same parts, basically, as we do in the current Parthenon. Well, that will burn in 480 when the Persians sack Athens, and they start construction on a new structure in 447 under Pericles, known as the Parthenon. And the Parthenon is a very different structure. What we have is a 2-to-1 ratio. We're getting closer and closer to that human ratio of 1.618 to 1. In the back, if I bring up the pen, in the back here would be a treasury because people would make financial gifts to the temple. In here would be a cult statue, a giant statue of Athena. And we have this very wide cella specifically for that massive statue. And we'll be talking about that statue later on. And the Parthenon is part of the larger Periclean Acropolis. And Pericles is responsible for planning or building much of it. The structures we're going to be looking at are the Parthenon up here, the Erechtheion, which is this building to the side, the Propylaea, which is this collection of buildings here, and the Temple of Athena Nike, where they make tennis shoes. Now, after the Greeks, the Parthenon will actually become a Catholic church. It will become a cathedral, and it is altered in a number of ways for that to happen, although most of the statuary was left in place. And this is another image of that. Now, that will eventually become a mosque. And once it becomes a mosque, after the Ottomans have taken over, we have a battle between between the Greeks and the Venetians versus the Turks, or the Ottomans. The Ottomans are holed up on the Acropolis. The Venetians and the Greeks are trying to get them off of there. And the Turks do what so often happens in war. They put all of their most flammable materials inside the Parthenon. The reason being, who's going to shoot at the Parthenon? The Greeks and the Venetians fire. They accidentally hit the Parthenon and blows the structure up. Basically, this was where the Turks were keeping their gunpowder, their explosives, etc. So we end up with the Parthenon looking something like this, with a very small mosque built in the middle of it, because the Greeks won't take it back at that point. In fact, they won't take it back until the 19th century.